on the one hand, I really enjoyed the narrative of A Walk in My Shoes. I think it had some pretty powerful messages about looking at life from somebody else's perspective. But at the same time, there were a few aspects of the narrative that I thought were unnecessary and kind of gimmicky and took away from what could have been a really fantastic, powerful message in film. However, still enjoyed it. It was released in 2010, directed by John Kent Harrison, written by Wesley Bishop, and stars Nancy Travis as Trish. Now, I don't want to go too much into the narrative, but to make a long story short, our protagonist, Trish, wakes up one morning, as normal, goes to school. She is a teacher, has a slight altercation with a parent whose son has just failed her class, and then drives off to her next meeting, gets in a car crash, and the next thing she knows, she's somebody else. Everybody thinks that she is the mother of the child who's just failed her class. And obviously she's very confused, but we meet a character of an angel just before this, so we as the viewer know what's going on, kind of. And because this mother's son arrives at the hospital to pick her up, he then takes her back to that mother's house, and Trish realizes pretty quickly that the person who's failed her class is from a home where they're about to be evicted. Everybody's got to work, apart from the young boy, to make money just to pay the bills, just to get by. And her life as a successful teacher with a young daughter who is doing very well academically is stark contrast, and it forces her to look at other people's lives and view things from a different perspective. Obviously a very important message, and something that, when done well, as I think it is here, is very moving and will make you reevaluate your own perspectives and your own lot in life. But there's a certain character, I mean, first of all, I feel like the character of the angel, very well played by Yara Martinez, but the character itself was underdeveloped. It featured, sometimes I felt like it featured not enough, and sometimes I felt like it popped up, that's a weird phrase, she popped up in situations where I felt like it wasn't necessary. So I think the writing of that character is just not that good. The next door neighbour as well just felt unnecessary. Yes, it added to the narrative in some ways, but the narrative could have been stronger and more fluid without that character. The story could have been told in a different way. So, didn't mind the characters of the next door neighbour and the angel, but I feel like they were put in there so that the film felt like it had more substance. But because of how emotive the narrative is, they really were not needed. Having said that, A Walk in My Shoes is still worth a watch. It is sentimental, and I do have to say that there are some brilliant characters in this, and I particularly think that Justin, Cameron Dean Stewart, is really good, and Toby, played by Elijah Nelson, brilliant. Ultimately, it's not perfect. There are things about it that I would change. And I really liked Jackson Pace as Mikey. I thought Mikey was a brilliant character, very well acted, really charismatic, very well written character. Thoroughly adored that. Start to finish, it was good. Not perfect, but still one I'd recommend.